Hello and welcome back to the Essex Allotment farm. The first part of this video, we're at my home in my back garden where I've got these temporary greenhouse structures. I use these spaces for mollycoddling, baby seedlings, offering a little bit of extra protection to cut flowers and things like that. These are just the bog standard ones that you can get that are nice and small and fit in people's back gardens. So yeah, if you're new to my channel, I am an organic vegetable grower commercially for veg box service, but I don't have, it's only the second season on my new bigger plot of land. So I'm in the process of moving stuff over from a whole old site to a new site and investing in new infrastructure like industrial sized polytunnels. But for the time being and by design, I use smaller greenhouses like this where I live. So I haven't got to go all the way to the farm at the moment to babysit my young seedlings, especially this time of year when I'm using spaces like this in the greenhouse and the garage unit that I've got attached to my house with lights and heat to really manipulate conditions at this time of year to give myself a head start when it comes to seed sowing. So in this video, we're just gonna have a quick look at what I've got going on at the moment, which isn't a great deal, but how some of my seedlings and cuttings are going, and then we'll talk about a little bit about what I'll be starting in the next couple of weeks. So let's crack on. So let's start with the stuff that's in this little greenhouse, and it's only a couple of different items. So I've got 312 cells of sugar bon peas sown in these trays here. They were germinated indoors, where it's a little bit warmer, and then as soon as they saw life or signs of life, I've brought them out into this temporary greenhouse structure. So these are only a couple of weeks away from being ready to plant out under some netting protection from the birds, because obviously at this age they're extremely sweet and tender, which as you can see is great for slugs. But even more devastating is bird damage that these would get if I put these out unprotected this time of year on the farm. Because you'll know if you're a fan of eating pea shoots that when they're young and only a couple of inches tall like this, pinching out that grown tip and eating it is absolutely sensational. It tastes fantastic and the birds think so too. So yeah, you'll have seen me sown these. I've sown 2 seeds per cell, partly because this time of year you don't get fantastic germination because it's not particularly warm, even indoors. The temperatures fluctuate quite a lot, but they are doing relatively well. Germination rate's been around probably 70-75%. Yeah, it's a sugar bomb variety, which I sowed in an earlier video, so go back and check it out if you haven't seen it already. Yeah, good start. The second thing I've got in this little mini greenhouse is just some red onion sets. So this was about, well, there's 104 cells here. So I had about 104 cells left. Sorry, I'll start again. That is absolutely rubbish and I'm talking nonsense. I had a bag and a half full of red onion sets after I planted some direct on the farm. And again, the germination rate at the farm this time of year will be a little bit indifferent. So what I've done here is just plonked the sort of like 104 in some cells, just put the base of them in there to kickstart them, and I'll shoot back down and show you again how they're starting. And then all I'll use these for is to replace gaps where germination or birds have attacked the ones that have been directly sown at the farm. So it's just a bit of a safety net to get nice, consistent amounts of onions at the farm. Obviously, this time of year, these plants don't need to be in the greenhouse. They're extremely hardy and will germinate at temperatures as low as 5 degrees Celsius, that is. But I've got the space in here, so I might as well try and give them a bit of a boost early on. They've only been in these trays for about a week and they're already showing signs of life. And you can see from the ones that are sort of knocking over, if I can find one, that they are putting on a little bit of root growth. I can't find one now. Ah, there you go. So yeah, they should be fine. So outside the little mini greenhouse that I'm using, half of that's just got trays stored in it at the moment, so I'm only using perhaps maybe a third of that little mini greenhouse at the moment. But outside I've got my strawberry runners that I cut earlier in the season from the 750 strawberry plants that I've got down at the farm, and I've got these dotted everywhere, so there's about 120 plants maybe here in this little section. Then at the other end of the property there's some more down there, just any space that I can find. And these are literally just the runners that have been planted on in pots and grown on to make new strawberry plants. They are Cambridge favourite strawberry plants, and again I'll use them to fill in any gaps where I've lost strawberries at the farm. I might sell some of them as plants at my farmer's market when they're a bit more established and look a bit more impressive, or I might extend my strawberry patch this season and grow more strawberries for boxes and markets. Time will tell. But yeah, they're looking relatively healthy for unprotected strawberry plants. Again, outside and unprotected is my first sowing of Aqua Dolce broad beans. Now I let these get a little bit leggy because I didn't notice that they'd shot up indoors in the dark, but they'll all strengthen up. There's a couple of them that aren't looking great where the weather's been not great, but they are outside now, unprotected, stunting the growth, slowing them down. Now they've germinated and letting them acclimatise before I take them in maybe 4 weeks time down to the farm and plant them out. So I'll have really strong hardy plants. But yeah, you can see one or two of them aren't looking great, but you'll be, if you're familiar with my videos again, you'll know that I've got a bed of about 300 broad bean plants planted in the ground already that are doing well. These are second sowing and the first of a different variety. I sowed my first 104 cell tray of Cavolo Nero Tuscan kale yesterday. So these have only been in 24 hours, obviously no sign of life, but they are indoors in a much warmer environment, maybe 20 degrees in here for germination. And again, as soon as they show signs of life, I will move them out into the greenhouse so that they get the light they're required. In here, it's just one tiny window. While the camera makes it look quite bright, it's not at all. It's dark, but warm. So yeah, that's just for germination, and then they'll be moved out under some light. So I've moved inside, and eventually all this sort of light equipment and stuff will be in the garage unit when the outside temperature warms up a little bit. But at the moment it's too cold. And to start off my chili plants, which I'll show you in more detail in a second, I've brought in just one shelving unit and a couple of lights into the house. And I do like these here when they've got to be babysat. So yeah, they've got to really be babysat this time of year because so much can go wrong with the temperature and light levels. I like them to be at my house, so I walk past them 15 times a day and can ensure that nothing's going wrong. So let's have a look at these in more detail. So they're looking super healthy and they're growing really quick. I've actually started to reduce the light levels a little bit, how much they're getting a day from the artificial grow lights because of how quickly they're growing. I just want them to slow down a little bit. Anything with an A in is a cayenne red chili pepper, and they look absolutely incredible. If I just show you it like that, they're nice, short, stocky plants. They've started to put on side shoots and growth, which is good news for the chili plants. Then next, anything with a B on it is again cayenne, but orange cayenne pepper. And again, they're at the same standard, starting to put on little bits of growth, little side shoots. They're short, they're healthy, they're stocky, and with some of them, you can start to see, yeah, that roots system's looking really great. They're starting to reach the bottom of the pots. So they will have to be potted on again probably before they make it outside. Depending on the light levels and the consistency, you can see that there's quite a bit of a difference between the growth of some of these. However, some of these plants are a different variety completely, which is this C variety. Anything that's got C written on it is Anaheim, which is a mild chili, but as close to a pepper as you can get without with it actually being chilly. It's only got a slight bit of heat. And these are obviously slower growing. They're a bit shorter. They were all planted at the same time, or sown at the same time, and potted on at the same time, which was the 1st of January. And whilst they look absolutely fantastic still, they're not quite as far on as the cayennes. What I should say, and again, you'll be familiar if you've watched my earlier vlogs, I sound like a broken record. Maybe I should just stop saying that. This is just my first sowing of chilies. I go on holiday next week for a week, and then I come back, and then that's when my seed sowing will really kick in. And I'll be doing lots of different varieties of chilies, but this is just to give these particular ones a head start. Specifically, I've chosen these varieties because I've found it easy to grow them in the past, and they will give me my earlier crop of chili peppers if all goes well. They'll live their life under sort of low tunnel polycarbonate down at the farm. Planted out in the field, but under sort of low tunnels made of the same material that you would use on a polytunnel. So yeah, that's the plan for those guys, and as long as they survive through my holiday, they should be all good. You'll have to give me your opinion on this, but one thing that I started doing when these were sown in core blocks was, and when they were in the core blocks, they were in a heated propagator. And to maintain the temperature, or not to lower the temperature in the heated propagator, I was actually using really warm water. I'd go as far as to describe it as hot water to bottom water the core pellets. It's the first time I've ever done that. The idea just being, even though I was only bottom watering them, with a heated propagator where the heat comes from below, I didn't want to lower the temperature of that heated propagator by pouring cold water in there. So I really used hot water, almost as hot as it would come out of a normal hot tap without it being boiling. And I've continued that process with bottom watering these chilies, and it's not done them any harm whatsoever. And I'd go as far as to say it might have actually impacted how quickly these guys are growing. Obviously there's no scientific evidence for that, but I've had particularly good early growth on these chilies this year, and they are the strongest and healthiest chili plants I've ever grown. And the only thing I've changed is in my process is bottom watering them, but with warm or almost hot water. Well, no, definitely hot water, almost boiling water. Next time I water them, I'll temperature check the water and see how warm it actually is and let you guys know. But let me know in the comments whether you think that's had any impact at all. The final thing I want to show you guys is some cuttings that I've done of my mother plant, Taunton Dean kale. So about 3 months ago, I took a load of cuttings from it and planted 24 cuttings into these pots behind me, which I'll show you in more detail in a minute, and just grew them on in the greenhouse. And they're doing really well, and because I needed some more space in the greenhouse, I've brought them inside to give them a bit of a boost. And yeah, they're doing really well. 22 of the 24 cuttings have survived and have put on visible root growth. So let me just show you how they're looking now. So this is the Taunton Dean kale cutting that I've shown you, or I'll show you. Obviously there's quite a few at varying different stages. These are the ones that were done first, followed by these that haven't been inside for so long, so their growth isn't quite as dramatic. But this is the best looking one, so I'll show you this one. And you can see it's putting on new growth here, which is a great sign that the cutting's taken. It's nice and sturdy. It's and then the telltale sign now, albeit this is at least 2.5 months down the line, is you can just start to see some root activity at the bottom, which means this kale, Taunton Dean perennial kale cutting has taken, and yeah, it's doing really well, and is now, I'd go as far as to say, an established plant as opposed to a cutting. I'll keep these indoors for another couple of months or so to make them nice tall, tall plants. I'll start pulling off some of the older leaves at the bottom to create that nice shaped plant. I'll mollycoddle all the rest of these on, again, bottom watering, and bring them on nicely, and I'll have 24 Taunton Dean perennial kale plants, of which I'm probably going to plant 20 at the farm because they are real heavy croppers, and sell the rest because they're quite sought after plants. Okay, so that is it for my seedling and cutting update for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took something from it, and I will keep doing these updates as and when I plant and sow more stuff, and as these plants progress. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.